Hi and welcome. Today I have a page in my art journal that's very colorful, and I start with just a new page in the book that I made just by cutting several pieces of Bristol Smooth paper and stapling in a book. The next book I'm going to do is going to be a little more professional. But I was just kind of testing the waters to see if I like this size, and I love it. And I like it's in a book. I don't know. I never really loved that before, but I am really liking that. Anyway, so I'm starting with this stencil I got off Simon Says stamp. I think it's a Simon Hurley stamp or a stencil. I'll have the name of it in the description, and I'm putting down some vintage photo, which seems odd because they are leaves, branches. But I'm going to do, in an earlier video, I used vintage photo with the sparkle, the translucent sparkle texture paste, and I just loved that so much. So I wanted to try doing it on a larger surface. And so I'm going to be putting the sparkle texture paste on top of this vintage photo, or these vintage photo leaf branches. So one piece of, words of experience from doing this and putting texture paste on a crease of or near a crease of a page, I ended up getting some underflow on the left side near the crease or the fold. And so I was thinking of what I could have done differently. And certainly I could have moved my whole stencil over to the right so that it didn't come close to the edge. I also could have, instead of doing texture paste, I could have added some embossing powder to it instead. And that would have been fine and probably would be what I would prefer, except for I really wanted the sparkle of it, of the texture paste. So I guess I'd have to choose which one I wanted most, the not messed up texture paste or forego the sparkle. And here's where it just, and I probably, really what I probably should have done is move the stencil over. But then the center of the stencil would not have been in the middle. I think if you had a different stencil, that would definitely be the way to go. But I kind of wanted all the branches to be central. And you'll see what I mean by the underflow. It just, of course, it can't lay flat when it's kind of crossing over onto the other pages. And once you get it down, you can wipe up excess, but it is on your paper, and then colors will not adhere to where the texture paste was, because it acts as a resist. So now you can kind of see the overflow or the underflow that went under the stencil. And I just kind of decide to live with it. I do try to take my little palette knife there, because I don't want a problem closing the book, and so I just kind of move some away from the edge. And of course I gotta let that dry. For all the colors, I'm going to use spray distress ink, and I've got several different colors, and I'm just trying to protect the facing page so it doesn't get totally covered with spray, overspray, and it does get a little bit on there, but I'm not really worried about that at this point. If I decide to do something on facing pages, I may just have to do collage things. So I'm just trying to tape that protective page down. And then I'll also put one under this page so it doesn't mess up any pages behind it. So I'm using several different colors: salvaged patina, tumbled glass, twisted citron, kitsch flamingo, and oh my gosh, the bright pink, picked raspberry. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't use that one very much, so I sometimes forget that one's name, correct name. But I use it, and it's really the most dominant color in the end, and I love it. So there you go. It says, you know, maybe use it more often. So that's the salvaged patina, and I'm just moving them around. I got the kitsch flamingo. Tumbled glass. I'm leaving the other colors last. Maybe the first one was picked raspberry. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think it was. The label just didn't look that pink. And twisted citron. Not adding a whole lot of that. And then some wild honey. And I'm gonna spray some water just to kind of get those colors gelling. I don't like the look of spray, you know, like the little tiny dots of spray. So I'm just gonna kind of get them all little gelling together. And if you get a big glob on the edges, you know, just take something dry like a paper towel or a dried baby wipe and just dab up any big pileups of color. Like right there. And then there's some over on the other edge too I'm going to dab up. Now the area doesn't look too bad now with the where the texture paste went outside of the stencil, but I don't like it in the end. I think you can see it more, and so as I'm collaging, I just kind of focus on the area that I don't like, and that's going to be where I work on my collage. See, now you can see it more. And I'm wiping off anything sitting on top of my texture paste. So the ink's mostly dry. There might be a couple spots here and there that aren't totally dry, but I'm just trying to focus on what's on the texture paste. Now I'm loving that. I just think that is so pretty with all the different colors, especially with the neutral leaves and being in the dark color. I don't know, I just really like it. And I have this new stencil set. I put in a recent order from Simon Says Stamp, and I grabbed these stamps. They are Arden. They're clear stamps. I can't recall how much they were, but I liked them because they were little bits of text, maybe looking like ledgers, a couple that look like stamps. I don't know, I just really liked them, and I thought that would be perfect on this piece, just to add a few pieces, few stamps randomly. Now, normally I don't just have it stick to my hand, but they're brand new and the backs are really sticky, so I didn't need to put it on a block. Plus, a block going on an uneven surface is not going to work well, so I just wanted to use my fingers anyway. But it just worked out well that the surface of the stamp was sticky enough that I didn't have to worry about it. I'm gonna put an edge on the whole piece, and because it's really dark, I mean, I've got vintage photo, so I wanted to kind of amp up the darkness of the edge. I mean, I'm not gonna bring it in a lot, but I'm gonna amp up just a bit and use scorched timber. So because my problem area is on the left, that's where I'm gonna focus my collage. I'm really not adding a lot of collage because the piece is pretty busy, and so I'm just kind of gonna add a little bit and kind of calm it down a little bit with this piece right here. I think I like it because it looks like the vintage photo, so I think that goes well. It does have a couple areas for labels, and I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't add a label where a label should be. So I'm just taking a couple stamps from Field Notes, And the bottom I'm going to leave for, I'm going to date it and put my initials. You don't actually see the initials in the end, which is fine by me, but you do see the date at the end. You can see the bird I'm going to be using on the side there. It's got the blues, the pink, some yellow, and a little bit of green in the leaves, but I thought it pulled in some of the colors nicely while not really distracting from the back or the back distracting the bird. The bird's big enough to stand on its own. I've used these birds lots of times, so if you're buying digital files along with them, this might be one you already have purchased. It just might look different than some of the others. I do print all my digitals. I buy them from Etsy. I print them out on 90-pound white cardstock, and then I fussy cut them. Also, if you buy them where you're getting individual JPEGs or PNGs, whatever, often that's really what I try to buy, because then I can drop them. I drop them in Publisher, and then I can size them accordingly. I can make a full size, or I can make them small to go on a coin, or I can make them anywhere in between. So this is one of the larger ones I've printed, and there was just a little spot in between the legs that I didn't cut, and so I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut in between his legs. Now you could, and I do when, like on a flower, if there's places between the stems and my background, say, is got a certain color, I can add that color in between where the white is, and that way it just doesn't stand out white. You can just do it with antique linen or old paper or vintage photo, would be my primary go-tos, but if you had a certain color back there and you wanted to be a color, you could do that too. So I'm getting ready to start gluing. I'm going to just glue the kind of taggy thing down. But the bird, I'm going to add some three-dimensional stickers, or not stickers, dots. And I have those in my Amazon storefront because they are a little hard to find. It doesn't really come up easily in the search. And I kind of stumbled on them one time, and I'm like, oh gosh, these are perfect. They're low dimension or low profile, like 1/8 inch, where normally they're like a 1/4 inch. And so things just stick up too high, especially when you're, well, anytime I think they're just too high. A 1/4 inch is too much. But especially if you're putting in a book like this, you don't want to add a whole lot of extra thickness to your pages. But these are perfect. You're seeing both sizes, so that sometimes, you want to use a small one, sometimes you want to use a big one. Both sizes come in one package, and the backs peel off real nicely. They're in my Amazon storefront. You don't pay any extra buying it through my storefront. I just get a small, and I emphasize small, commission from it. It just helps me buy digital downloads or art products, and I appreciate it. Christmas is coming, and if you're looking to buy a bigger item for your art, check to see if it's on my storefront, and then give that link to whoever is doing your gift buying, and maybe that would help us both out. And the only thing else I'm going to add is a sentiment. And I'm going to use Tim Holtz Small Talk. I'm going to take a black one, and I'm going to say, it says, trust your crazy ideas. Because this one, I think, qualifies as a kind of a crazy idea. In the end, I like how it turned out. And that is it. I do have some final pictures coming up, so stay tuned for those. If you're new and you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do that. If you like this piece, give me a thumbs up or a comment. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you next time.